Disney Lorcana's set number 10 released last weekend and is going in big box stores as of today. And the question arises, is it any good? Well, general consensus is that this set has been awesome. It has been a welcome refresher from set 9 because set 9 was just kind of stifling. You know, it was the first set rotation we've ever seen in the game, which meant the first 4 sets are now out. And so we only got to play with the latest 5 sets. And we lost a lot of good cards. And so set 9 was really constricting. And the meta was pretty tight, and there wasn't a lot of answers or tools available to players when playing the game. And honestly, I think set 9 may have been the most disliked meta in quite some time in the game's history. And so set 10 has been welcomed with open arms. People have been so excited because this set has provided so many tools in comparison to set 9, and it's really busted the meta a little bit open for people, and they're excited to build decks just like my last deck building video. But the question comes, is it actually any good? Now, for the whole past week, I've been a part of the general consensus that this is a good set. This is awesome. This is fun. Until I listened to a recent podcast. The Articast is a great podcast led by Artabax and LD, who are 2 great players that play professionally in a lot of tournaments. And recently, they had their 50th episode, which is their latest and last episode for quite some time as they're taking a break till the end of the year. On this episode, LD shared his excitement, like the rest of us, of how the meta is so much better now, that we can actually do some different things. But Artabax, on the other hand, had a very different opinion. Artabax has seen something that honestly shows how experienced of a TCG player he is, because I never saw this coming, and I haven't seen anyone make note of this other than him in all of the video content that I've been able to watch about this set so far. You see, Artabax has said a couple of discouraging things. One, he said he's not having any fun with this set, which is pretty rough whenever he's been playing for quite some time. And 2, he said that the game design might even be lazy.
Emotional, damn it!
Now, before you go taking my words for what Artabax said, please go take a listen to their podcast. The Articast episode 50 was a great way to look at Whispers in the Well in a different light, and so I'd recommend you go watch it. But I'm going to do a little bit of a paraphrase of what this whole hour-long conversation was about and just give you some pictures and visuals of what they were talking about. See, Artabax shared that the way that Ravensburger is making certain cards right now is discouraging a very important game element. This game element is the act of drawing cards. Now, this may not seem like a big deal to most, but his points were very valid that the less cards you have in hand, the less decisions you need to make, and the less decisions make more linear gameplay, and more linear gameplay usually means less skill expression. So what I'd like to do is point your attention towards these cards that he's pointing out as problem children. Now, there were 4 major cards that Artabax took attention to in this podcast, but there's probably more. But 4 cards in particular that are causing this issue of keeping a low hand size. The first one being Doc. Doc is an old staple. It is not a new card, but in the way that things are going, it's emphasized the issue. Like I said, Doc is an old card that incentivizes players to keep a small hand. That is the best way you get value out of him, is that you want to play him with no cards in your hand so you're not discarding any cards. This card has been fine across all of the metas, primarily because it only affects the player playing the card versus some of our other cards we're going to take a look at. The next card that Artabax pointed out was Clarabelle. Clarabelle is another card that's been around for a minute from set 5, but it affects not only the player playing it, but also the opponent. And so you need to play around Clarabelle. It incentivizes you to keep a small hand size whether you are playing the card or not, because you do not want to give your opponent any more additional resources, so you'll want to empty your hand. Now, pretty much in the meta for a long time, this has been the only card like this, and I think that's why there's not been much of an objection to it until now. Because now we have 2 other cards that are incentivizing this as well, and these are all being played in meta deck lists. The next card is Demona, which is a new card in the set Whispers in the Well, and it incentivizes not only the person playing it, but also the opponent to keep a small hand size, because if a Demona is coming down, you want to take advantage of the draw power that comes with it. Not only was Clarabelle incentivizing you to keep a small hand when you were playing against, say, a green-blue deck, but now we have Demona, which in any purple deck, primarily purple steel, is encouraging you to once again keep a small hand so that you can take advantage of the drawing there, or, like Clarabelle, make sure your opponent doesn't get any drawing. And this brings us to the final card, Goliath. Goliath is wreaking havoc in blue steel decks because he not only incentivizes you to keep a small hand because he'll draw you cards, but he also incentivizes you to keep a small hand because he will discard you cards. And what Artabax pointed out, which I thought was incredibly poignant, was each of these cards together are creating a massive meta that teaches you to keep a small hand, which means keep less tools in your arsenal and play much more linear lines. Now, is this a bad thing? Well, that's kind of to be decided on your position of play. I think for the vast majority, this will be welcomed because linear lines of play means simpler games and it just becomes clearer what you are to do. But if you are a very skill-based player, if you want to be able to skill gap your opponents and you are finding yourself in a very linear format, that's probably going to bring more and more frustration. I think that's what's so impressive about Artabax's discovery here is that he was seeing something that I don't think most people are. The current top decks really incentivize, whether you are playing the deck or someone else is playing the deck against you, to keep your hand size small so you don't get punished. And the question is, do you agree with him? As for me, I don't know. I like the set. I think I have more agency than I had in the previous set. I can make more decisions because I have more tools available to me, but I also have less cards in hand available to me, which could mean that I have less responses. So there is a bit of a conundrum here. I think the bigger problem is that these cards now exist and we will be with them for quite some time. So we could live in a meta for several years where we will not see large hand sizes anymore. I truly think time will tell if this set was bad for Lorcana, but as of right now, it feels like a very good thing for Lorcana in light of set 9. I'd love to know what you think. If you think this set is any good, if you think it's trash, if you think there's highs, lows, positives, negatives, please let me know down in the comments section. I'd love to discuss with you. Thanks for watching.